So in the last class, we discussed about the two different types of memory spaces, that is kernel space and
Ma'am, spaces malli cheptaru.
Kernel space and user space. The memory space which is used to run the kernel applications is called as kernel space, and the memory space which is used to run the or handle this user applications, no, that is known as user space. Okay, and what is the difference between these two? In the user space, user applications will be handled or run. In the kernel space, kernel applications will be handled. Okay, na, and depending upon that, there are two types of architectures are there. Two types of kernel architectures are available. What are the two types of kernel architectures? I gave a brief idea regarding this in the last class, I think. What are the two kernel architectures available? Monolithic kernel and microkernel, right? Monolithic kernel and microkernel. So as the name itself indicates, monolithic means mono, only one space it utilizes. Okay. So here in this architecture,
No,
all the kernel services,
Yes, ma'am.
handle or will run in the kernel space. All the kernel modules, all the applications, right? So will execute in the single space, that is monolithic. That's why the name. Okay. Here it utilizes only the kernel space. It won't utilize the user space. It only utilizes the kernel space. Here you can see here this in monolithic kernel architecture, all the kernel services run in the kernel space. There is no utilization of the user space. Here all the kernel modules run within the same memory space under a single kernel thread. So because of this, there is also one drawback, ma. What is that now? Because they are using only one single space. They are not using user space. They are only using the kernel space. If there is any error occurred or any failure, unexpected failures occur, no, in any one module of these multiple modules which are run under the kernel space, that will crash the entire kernel application. Why? Because all the kernel modules are executing, or all the kernel modules are handling, all the kernel services are handling in a single space. So the major drawback of monolithic kernel is that any error or any failure in any one of the kernel module that leads to the crashing of the entire kernel application, that leads to the crashing of entire kernel application. That is the main drawback of this monolithic kernel. And some of the examples of this architecture are Linux, Solaris, MS-DOS are the examples. And to avoid this drawback, we are going for the microkernel. And before that, you just see the diagram, you can better understand regarding this architecture. See here, all the applications are executed in a single space. This space is called as kernel space. So monolithic kernel with all operating system services running in the kernel space. So because of the what is happening, no. If any error occurred in any one of these modules, it will crash the entire modules. It will crash the entire kernel application. Okay, so to avoid the drawback with the monolithic kernel, here we are used another architecture is available that is called as microkernel. So what is happening here now? Instead of using only the kernel space, here it also utilizes the user space. Here it also utilizes the user space. How it will utilize the user space, and for what services it utilizes the user space, and for what services it utilizes the kernel space, that differentiates the two architectures. Okay, so here in the case of microkernel, all the services which are handled by the kernel of this real-time operating system are divided into two types. They are essential services, non-essential services. What are the two categories? They're dividing the services. Tell me. Essential services and non-essential services. So which services are considered as essential services?
Ma'am, voice cut out, ma'am.
Am I audible now? Am I audible now? So here, some of the services of the kernel of the real-time operating system, something like memory management, process management, time and system management, interrupt handling, these are all considered as the essential services. So when the kernel of the real-time operating system executing some of these type of services, it utilizes the kernel space. For the non-essential services, apart from these services, some are non-essential services. No, to execute or to run or to handle those type of non-essential services, it utilizes the user space. Like this, it utilizes both the kernel space and user space. Can you able to understand all the services which are handled by the kernel are divided into two categories: essential services and non-essential services. To handle the essential services, it utilizes the kernel space. To handle to run the non-essential services, it utilizes the user space. Like that, it is utilizing both kernel space and user space. The microkernel design incorporates only the essential set of operating system services into the kernel space. The rest of the operating system services are implemented in the program known as servers, which run in the user space. So which services are called as the essential services here? Memory management, process management, timer management, and interrupt handling. These are all called as these services are called as the essential services. Here we can see in clear, all the applications are divided into essential services like memory management, process management, timer system, interrupt handler. Those will be executed or those will be handled in the kernel space. This is the kernel space, and it is the remaining us non-essential services will be handled by the servers, which are handled in the user space. This is the user space, and it is the kernel space. Okay, so tell me how many types of operating systems are available, ma'am? When we are discussing in the first unit itself, we discussed about this. How many types of operating systems are available? How many types of operating systems are available? Generally, there are two types of operating systems are available. What are the general purpose operating system and real-time operating system? In the first unit itself, we discussed when we are discussing the differences between the general purpose computing system and the embedded system. We discussed that the operating system which is deployed in the general purpose computing system, not like personal computers and desktop computers, no, that operating system is called a general purpose operating system. And if you are using any system for a specific purpose or a domain specific like embedded system, the operating system which is used for that type of applications is called as real-time operating system. And for the generic applications, you can go for the general purpose operating system. Here, see here, the operating systems which are deployed in the general purpose computing systems are referred as general purpose operating systems. And what are the services handled by the general purpose operating systems? Very generic in nature. They're non-deterministic in behavior. What is the meaning? What is the meaning of this non-deterministic? So there is no deadlines in the response. The response time is not a much critical factor, right? So the response should not be in the time, right? No. So that type of applications are called as, that type of behavior is known as non-deterministic behavior. You see, the kernel of such operating system is more generalized and it contains all the kinds of services required for executing the generic applications. Okay, general purpose operating system are often quite non-deterministic in behavior, where the response time is not critical. Response need not to be in the time. Whereas in the case of real-time applications like defense applications, aircraft applications, the very tiny delay is not acceptable, which makes the which may affect the use hazards, something like, right? So that affects the application. So here, in the case of real-time applications and the defense applications, real-time operating system is more essential. And deterministic behavior of the system is essential. Here, non-deterministic behavior means some of the delays in the response is acceptable. The response may not be in the time. Can you able to find the differences between real-time and generic operating system? Students, can you able to get that? Hello? Hello? So here, general purpose operating system.
Your voice is not clear, ma'am.
Why not? Changing replacer. So the services can inject random delays into the application software and may cause slow responsiveness of the application at unexpected times. Okay, and what are the examples of the general purpose computing system on which these general purpose operating systems are deployed? Personal computers, desktop computers are the typical examples of the system where general purpose operating systems are used. And some of the examples of the general purpose operating system like Windows XP, MS-DOS are some of the examples you can consider. And real-time operating system, in the real-time implies the deterministic timing behavior where response time is very critical factor and response should be in time. And this deterministic timing behavior in real-time operating system context means that operating system services consumes only known amount of time and expected amount of time. Everything is predefined. So everything is scheduled. Okay, scheduler is an application, right? Which makes that the task should be completed within the particular time. Okay, within that scheduling time, within the task scheduling time, the particular task need to be completed. Okay, regardless of irrespective of the number of services it is handling. The real-time operating system decides which application should run in which order and how much time each application or each service has to be taken. Everything is predefined. That means that that we can say that it is having very deterministic behavior. So for the real-time operating system, the predictable performance is the hallmark for the well-designed real-time operating system. Some of the examples of the real-time operating systems are something like Windows CE, QNX, VSBox, Micro C, OS2, and etc. are some of the examples of the real-time operating system. Okay, so like this, these two types of operating systems are available depending upon the applications. Okay. So the kernel of the real-time operating system, in the previous classes, we discussed some of the services of the general purpose operating system. Okay. So here, here the services of the real-time operating systems are handled by the kernel only, right? So the kernel of the real-time operating system is called as real-time kernel. Now tell me, what is the kernel of the operating system? What is the kernel of the real-time operating system is called as? What is the kernel of the real-time operating
Real-time kernel.
Real-time kernel, very good. There are two types of real-time kernels are available, hard real-time kernel and soft real-time kernel. There are two types of real-time kernels are available, hard real-time kernels, soft real-time kernels. As the name itself indicates, where in the hard real-time kernel, no delay is acceptable. It is very predictable. The task should be completed in the predefined time. Okay, very deterministic in behavior. Hard real-time means no delays are acceptable. Response time is very, very critical. Soft real time means some of the delay is acceptable, some exceptional. Okay, some delay is acceptable. So there are two types of kernels are available in the real-time operating system. The kernel of the real-time operating system is called as real-time kernel, and there are two types of kernels for real-time operating system: hard real-time kernel and soft real-time kernel. Next, we are going to see some of the responsibilities of the real-time kernel handles. That is kernel of the operating system. See here. The kernel of the real-time operating system is often referred as a real-time kernel, and it is highly specialized and it contains only the minimal set of services. Minimal set of services required for running the user application. Some of the basic services are the responsibilities which are handled by the kernel of this real-time operating system called as real-time kernel. We are going to see now. There are 7 basic functions or 7 services handled by this real-time kernel RTK. Okay, what are the 7 services? No, task management or process management, task scheduling or process scheduling, task synchronization or process synchronization, task error handling or exceptional handling, memory management, interrupt handling, time management. Now, can anybody read these 7 services of the kernel? Tell me, students, all of you. What are the 7 services handled by the real-time real-time kernel or RTK?
Task or process management, task or process scheduling, task or process synchronization, error or exception handling, memory management, interrupt handling, time management.
Very good. Now we are going to discuss about each thing in detail. First one is task or process management. What are the services handled by this task management? I mean, what it utilizes to handle the contents, what it utilizes to store the contents of the information regarding this task we are going to discuss now. Okay, so this task management, it deals with the setting of the memory space for task, loading the task code into the memory space, and allocating the system resources, and setting up the task control block, and detecting the task, terminating the task. Okay, so whenever application is nothing but, frankly speaking, it is a program. It is a set of instructions, right? And the part of this application is called as task. Task is the part of the application, where process is the part of the task, where thread is the part of the process. That is the interlink or interrelation between the application, task, process, and thread. Did you can you able to understand? Application may have multiple tasks. One task may have multiple processes. One process may have multiple threads. Okay, now so here it deals with the allocating the memory space. So to store this application, to store this task, it requires a memory space, right? Allocating the memory space and loading these programs into the code memory. What is the code memory for the program memory for the embedded system? Flash memory, right? And loading
Flash
these,
memory.
yes, loading this code or application or task into the flash memory, allocating some system resources. To execute that program, it requires some resources, semaphores, mutexes, allocating those resources to successfully execute that program, and maintaining the task control block. What is task control block and what are the contents of the task control block? We are going to discuss in the next slide. Okay, and terminating the task after the execution is completed. Okay, now here task control block is used for holding the information corresponding to the task. And what is the content of this task control block? What are the contents here? This task control block or TCB usually contains the following set of informations, that is task ID, task state, task type, okay, task priority, and task context pointer, task memory pointer, task system resource pointer, and task pointer. Okay, so what is this task ID? Each task is given with an identified number which is unique for each task. Okay, that is this task ID is usually maintained by the TCB. Task state, in which state the task is, in the blocked state, in the starting state, in the executing state, or in the terminating state, in which state it is having. Different types of different different states of this task we are going to discuss in the next topic, that is task, process, thread is there. No, there we are going to discuss about the life cycle of the task or process, in which state the task is, that also maintained by the TCB. And task, which type of the task, where it is a hard real-time task or the soft real-time task, and what is the priority? High priority it is given when it is this, when it is handled, when it is when it is having the high priority, means it is enabled with 1. Otherwise, if it is if it is enabled with 0, means what? It is having the low priority. Whether the task is having the highest priority or lower priority, that also maintained by that information also maintained by the TCB. And context pointer. What do you mean of this context saving? Did you heard about this context saving? When the controller want to move from one context to another context, the previous context has to be saved. Why? Because after the completion of this jumped context, after that it has to move back to the previous context. No, so where it stopped previously, where it stopped, that point is pointed by the task context pointer in the task context saving. Next, task memory pointer, which points to that code memory or data memory, and stack pointer, and system resources pointer points to the semaphores and mutexes, and task pointer always points to the other TCBs. These are all the contents of the task control block. So here some of the responsibilities of the task management or process management may have: creating the TCB for the task, and deleting or removing the TCB, task control block after the task execution is completed, and reads the TCB to get the state of the task, in which state the task is. How can it know? By reading the TCB. Update the TCB after the state is changing, after that as the time is, As the priorities are changing, as the state of the task is changing, we need to update the TCP and modify the TCP, right? These are all the services handled by the task. And remaining services we are going to discuss in the next class. And remaining 6 services we are going to discuss in the Thursday class, that is tomorrow class. Today, what we discuss, students, we discuss the different memory spaces, user space and kernel space. That is very, very important for the short answer questions. Define user space, define kernel space, right? And different types of the kernel architectures, monolithic kernel and microkernel we discussed, and what is the difference between these two with diagrams we discussed. And after that, we discussed the different types of operating systems, like general purpose operating system and real-time operating system with the examples. And what is the kernel used for the real-time operating system we discussed, that is called a real-time kernel, and different types of the real-time kernels we discussed. After that, the services handled by the real-time kernel we started, and the remaining services of the real-time kernel we are going to discuss in the next class.